Welcome to this tutorial for CAD/CAM for Schools. Today we're going to be looking at sketching and then taking a sketch design through to using some 3D software, Creo in this instance, to create a 3D representation of that sketch. We're going to be concentrating on how we can use CAD as a design tool and how this can be used to help pupils improve coursework marks. Okay, so we're going to look at how we can sketch the image in front of you for a curved mobile phone based on the iPhone, of course. So we're going to take you through that. So this is phone, design, sketching. So we're going to start by showing you how we sketch out the design, and then we'll move on and look at how we use Creo to create the image on the screen there into a fully rendered CAD representation. So let's begin. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to draw out a box, three-dimensional box that you would imagine the phone would fit in. So if you imagine the packaging that the box would go in. So we're just going to do it, and this technique is called crating. Now I'm going to do it with a normal propelling lead pencil, freehand, but if you're struggling, just download some isometric grid paper, lay it under your sheet and sketch out the basic shape first with that. It really is that simple, and this will just help you to keep all your proportions correct. So we're just going to take our pencil now, and we're just going to very lightly, and it is really important that you press lightly now. You don't want to press too hard when you're doing this. So we press nice and lightly, and we're just going to sketch out in isometric roughly a 3D shape. Now I'm doing it nice and thin, don't press too hard. And a little tip, if you notice now my hands, it's not the correct way of drawing, make sure you turn your paper as you draw. Now I've just drawn the main part for my phone, now I'm going to draw a piece that's going to go on the top and the bottom. So that central bit I drew first of all, that was for the screen. This is almost where your controls are going to go, your home button, and then at your top where you would put in your speaker, camera, etc. So once we've got the basic shape, we can then just go over the lines, again working lightly, and sketch out how we want to change the shape. So it might be that we want to round off some of these corners, we want to angle parts of it, just give it some more personality. So this is step 2. Add some features to really make your design pop. Anyone can just draw an ordinary boring phone. So let's try rounding off the corners and seeing what you can be creative with. And it could be that you use this basic shape 3 or 4 times to design your phone. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually going to curve the screen and round some of these corners off. So again, I'm just working nice and lightly. Don't worry, you'll notice I haven't used a rubber at all. Don't worry, rotate the paper, don't do what I did there, but for the interest of filming, so you can see, we'll carry on. So we're working lightly. You notice I'm just working out where I want the shapes to go. No need for a rubber, just work nice and lightly until you get a shape you're happy with. So I'm just putting across some lines for where the boundaries of the screen are. And then when I'm happy, we'll start talking about inking in. Now when it comes to inking in, lots of people say you need specialist equipment. If you're in the classroom, a biro pen will be fine. Okay? If you haven't got a fine liner, just use a biro. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So I'm going to use a fine liner just because I had one to hand. But really, it does not matter. You can use whatever you got to hand. A biro will be fine. What you will need is a bit of a thicker pen to go around the edges, which we'll see in a minute. So we're going to ink in the detail, as I call it. So I'm just going to take my fine liner, and I want to do nice sweeping lines. I don't want to feather them, so I want nice long lines, and this is where it is important you rotate your page around so it's most comfortable for you, so you're not having to draw awkwardly. So and nice flowing lines we want to put on there. And we're just drawing on the lines we wish to keep. And eventually you'll notice that all them pencil lines will just fade into the background. Now eventually, not on this tutorial obviously because we're looking at Creo, we'd look at doing some sketch work where we actually go into some basic marker rendering. So the final bit now, I'm going to add in some detail, so I'm going to add in the ear speaker. Just doing this freehand now, the home button, and then we're putting the camera, the front camera. Now the last thing we do is we're just going to bold it out with a Sharpie pen, and all this is going to do is just going to lift that design off the page, and you'll notice that you won't see them pencil lines as much. So we're just going to go around the lines, and what best way to remember is, imagine you're cutting out this shape. So it's the lines you would use if you were cutting it out. Don't do it really thick, just a nice line around the edge to allow your design to come out of the page. And that's it. So next we're going to look at how we can take this design and do some work on Creo. So I'm just putting in some lines now just so to show that it's actually meant to be see-through. Okay, so we're now going to look at using Creo. So here's just an image of one of the phones we've previously designed, we've sketched out, just doing some of the techniques we've just seen in the previous part of the video. What we're going to look at now is how we actually take this sketch and how we can turn it into an image like this one created on Creo. So all you need to do is load up Creo and we'll begin. Okay, so here we go. What we're going to do is we've opened new parts, we've set our working directory already. So we're just going to start working on Creo. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click the top plane, because that's the plane we want to work on. And we're going to click the extrude button from the ribbon at the top there. Press it once, and we're now ready to sketch onto that top surface. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spin it round using the sketch view button, so it spins the page round in front of us, so we're looking directly down on top of our plane. Now what we want to do is we want to draw a centre rectangle in the centre of our plane. To do that, we click on rectangle, but if you notice the little arrow to the side of it, click on that and we click centre rectangle. That now allows us to draw from the centre out. So we click once to start, once to finish. Now Creo's clever. It will dimension that image for us, that shape. It will dimension it for us. To do that, we click on select. It shades in yellow, which means we've got a completed sketch. And we can now change these dimensions. So if I do the top one to 50 and press enter, and the side one I'll do at 120, press enter. We've now dimensioned the shape, so it's 50 wide, 120 high. So we then press the green tick to accept. Now that's created a 3D shape. We can't see it's 3D because we're looking directly at the top of it. So if you go to the name views and click isometric, we'll notice it's now in 3D. Now it's far too thick. I want my phone to be 4mm thick. Okay. Now what I also want it to do is I want it to go both sides of the plane. At the moment you'll see that arrow there shows us we're going 4mm up off the plane. I'm going to change it so we go both evenly above the plane, so the plane's now moved into the middle, and set it at 4. So we then press the tick, resize, and we can accept what's going on there. So let's look at the next. Okay, so the next stage is actually how we use CAD as a design tool, because one of the things that a lot of people do is they just make something on CAD as an afterthought, or they just do their final design. So now I'm going to show you a way how we can actually use the image on the screen as a basis to do some development work. Now, with pupils, the best way to do this would be to get them to print off 3 or 4 of these basic shapes and then get them to sketch lines on top of it to show how they could develop the shape of the phone. So I'm just going to show you that. So to do this, all I'm going to do is just use my pen and just sketch on a top and a bottom piece. And it really is as simple as that. And this shows development. And all you would do is get the pupils to annotate what's going on. So to continue, just remove them images, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly what I've just done then. So again, I'm going to click on the top plane. You can see it's highlighted, it's gone green, and we're going to go to extrude. Following the same process as before, we go to the sketch view. So I'm going to use this button up here, it's called project. And all it's going to allow me to do is click on this line and make it a live line on our drawing. So I can just zoom out a bit, go up to my line tool, I'm going to go up, doesn't matter how far, across. When I get L1, I've got 2 L1s appear there, it just tells me that the 2 lines are exactly the same length. I'm going to go back again, and then to finish, middle mouse click. Now, like before I said, Creo will automatically dimension the size of that. So clicked on the select, it's gone yellow. I'm going to select the dimension that I want it to be, and I'm going to put in 18. Now, we could just go and draw the same thing at the bottom there, but there is a far quicker way. It's called mirroring. Now, to mirror something, we have to put in a centre line. So I've clicked on the centre line. Make sure you pick the centre line here, just below sketch, not the one that's greyed out over there. And we're going to click on the centre, and there's our centre line, and we just rotate it around until it's a horizontal line. Next, click back on select, you'll notice it's yellow, highlight the yellow piece, that box you've just drawn, and then we press the mirror button, which is just to the right of palette, and click on the line. And now you'll notice the top and the bottom are exactly the same. So we press OK. Just like before, we spin it round into isometric, and you'll see that it's going above that plane on just one surface. I'm going to make this 4.5. And when I press enter, it's still above. If we do like we did before and do it in both sides, you'll notice now we just get that slight lip, and this becomes important later on, and it's to do with the rendering. So when you're happy with that, press the tick for OK, and there's the next stage. Now I'm just going to do exactly the same again as I did before. We're going to do this, draw on exactly what we want to see, and this is what you get the pupils to do. It just makes it so easy. So if I want that side to be curved, I now curve it. And the bottom piece. And we just curve it. We can make it 3D, like that, on both sides. So that's the next bit we're going to do. And we do that by using rounds. So I click on the round tool. I'm going to do the bottom part first. So I click one corner, hold down the control key, allows you to select multiple corners, and we can just drag this as much as we want. So we'll do the full 18. So I'll just type in 18 in the top there and click on the tick. Now on the top surface we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to chamfer it. So I'm going to click 1, you notice it goes to 18, and I'm going to click the other one. Both have gone to 18. Let's just take that down to 5 for a minute, because I'm going to show you something clever. If we change the options there and set D1 and D2, one of them stays at 5, but I can just drag in the other one. So I've got a slightly different cut there. So it's just changing the shape, and then I'm going to round it. And again, I click that one, control key to select more than one item. We bring that down It should go to 18. Of course, if you can't be messing, you can just type it in at the top there. Press the tick. And then we'll just round off the top tilt. And all we do is when we want to move around, just use the mouse button, middle mouse button, and you can rotate things around your screen. So I just need to grab one of these handles, and we'll just go to 12 there. So we're just creating a slightly different view of our phone. So again, I'll put it back into isometric. Next stage, again, like we've shown you, we've got to add some detail to this. So on the bottom here, you'll be putting in our home key, and this is what you can get the pupils to do. They can take that shape, and they can say they want it like that, and the camera is going to go here. So that looks like it's slightly indented. Okay, that's what they can do. If they want to change it, you do another one, and the camera could be over here. They might not have rounded sides. They could have kept it angular. And by drawing on that blank template, you're creating the development so they know what they're going to do when they come to look at it on Creo. So we're going to put them features onto it. So we're going to click on extrude. Before, we've always worked on the top surface. This time I'm actually going to click on one of the existing surfaces on there. So all I do is I click on the surface, it's been selected, and we're going to view it round. So we're going to start again with a centre rectangle, and I'm going to draw on the rectangle for the speaker. And I'm going to go to circle, and I'm going to draw my camera. Now, once I press the arrow, I get all my dimensions up. So I'm going to say that this is going to be 3, the circle is going to be 4, it's going to be 5mm off that surface, and this is going to be 30. Now, I want to round off these edges, so I've just picked the circle again, and I can go to the edge there. When the M comes up, it tells me it's on the middle, and it will just snap to the edges there. Now if you look, the circle's coloured in. That means it's fine, we can work with that. This bar we've just drawn as our earpiece, where you hear the sound from the phone in, it isn't yellow, it's got issues with it. We actually need to delete these extra bits, and to do that we use the delete segment. So you just click on it on the top there, and then carefully you click the lines you want to remove. If you make a mistake, press undo. If you can't see quite what you're doing, zoom in. Now hopefully, when I press the arrow this time, you'll see that both have now coloured in. So all we've got left to do now is just put our circle on the bottom there for the home key. Right, so we've just drawn the circle for the home key. We go back to select, it's yellow, the top two bits are yellow, so we can press the tick and continue. Again, view it in isometric just so you can see what's going on. Now by default it's adding material. I want to take that material away and I want it to go down 0.5. So at the moment it's going above 0.5. So we press remove. Nothing happens until we tell it we want to go below the datum plane. And now you'll see how it's taken that away. Now, time we're on this, you might want to add some features to the bottom here. For example, your charging point. So it's exactly the same process. We go extrude, we select the surface. Now this is a bit tricky because you can see it's snapping to the right and to the top. So scroll right in. So we've got the surface we want to draw on. Again, spin it round so we can see what we're doing, and we can just draw on our centre rectangle and put that in there, and just beside it we do a circle. Now again, view it in isometric. Again, it's adding that material, so we want to say we want it to go inside it, we want it to remove, we don't want it to go in quite that much, so if I just do 5, we've then got the basis for our phone. Now what I suggest you do at this point is you might want to add some of these details to make it a bit less blocky. So it could be that you decide that the sides are going to have a chamfer on them. Obviously not quite as big as that, but I'm going to select them all and then I'll just take it back to 0.5 for example. So I've just got that 0.5 chamfer on the edges, and it could be that the sides of the screen are going to be chamfered, but we're round the edges at the bottom, and instead of 0.5 we might make them 1. So again, it's slightly difficult for me to show you that with the pen sketching, so I've just put it on there. And again, you could add that detail to these parts here. I'm not going to talk you through that. Have a go at trying to do that yourself. Great, so the next part is going to get slightly trickier now, but this is a really easy feature that we can do in Creo. And some of you might be saying, but you said you were going to make this a curved phone. I've drawn it flat. We're going to use Creo to bend it. So for example, it might be that we want to run, select the right tool there. Let's just select the pen. But we want to run a curve from here to there. And it might want to be a bit more curvy. We get something like that is the idea. So to do that, we just do it in Creo, and we do something called warp. Now warp is about 5 or 6 features in one. So if I click on editing and go to warp, first thing it's asked me is geometry. By geometry, it's the thing we've made, it's the object in front of us, so it's solid geometry. Direction, select items. Always best to click default. That way, when we do something, we can select the different places we want it to work on. So you'll see there's loads of different tools up here that all do different things, but the one we want to focus on at the moment is the bend tool. And when you look at that, you can start bending things on here. But all we want to do is bend this. So you'll notice if I bend it on that form, it's not where we want to be. So I'll just put that back to 0. Let's type in 0. And we can use this tool here to switch the axis. And what we're looking for is the axis running the length of the phone. So I can then grab this piece and just start bending. So I might put in an angle of 35. So this is going to bend at 35, an angle of 35 degrees. Press the tick, and now we've got something that's starting to resemble the idea we had before. So now we come to rendering. So let's just get rid of all these planes, you don't need to see them. We're going to render this. So we click on render, and what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to render the whole piece one colour. So click on the phone as a whole, and I'm going to go to appearance gallery, and I'm going to select a metal. Let's do aluminium, and we can render the whole thing in aluminium. Now if you're not happy with it, we can go to edit model appearances, we can click the colour, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that colour from quite a light grey to a dark charcoal. So I can just move it along. If you want to do a pink coloured iPhone, you can do a pink coloured iPhone, but we're just going to keep it quite dark. Click OK. So that will automatically change that. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to put our screen on here. I'm not going to go into detail about doing all the nice edges to it. We'll have a look at that afterwards. So I'm going to select an appearance. I'm going to go to glass. You think glass would be the one to do. Actually, a better option for screens and things is actually to select plastics. And you'll notice that you've got clear plastics. So I'm going to add the clear plastics. So I'm going to do a new one. Translucent clear plastic. Okay. So I've got my new one up there and my library one. So I'm just going to use the library one first of all to set the top. And middle mouse down, control, click the bottom, press OK. So you can now see how it's gone see-through. Now this is where it's important why I wanted to do new, because I need to set that first one and select that top surface with the duplicate image. And again, edit model appearances. We want this top surface, and we're going to go to map. Click on image under decal, and this is where it's all I've done is I've been on the internet, found a JPEG of an iPhone screen, saved it in my working directory, and it's just going to add it to that screen. So we can now render the image. So to make sure we get a decent image, we go on scene, click the bottom left hand one, just tends to be a good standard bearer. And I'm just going to go into render setup, and just for the sake of this I'm just going to go on high. If you want a really good quality one, you go on draft, and then we fit the teapot. Depending on the speed of your computer, you might want to go and make a cup of tea, and all that's going to do now is just going to render that image for us. So this is just doing a basic rendering. What I could go and do is I could go and select some other materials and just highlight some of the parts, so we could put a bit of chrome around the edge just to make it look more like an iPhone. Remember, of course, I'm just showing you some basics. I'm not telling you how to go and do it. I want you to be creative yourselves. So there's our slightly pink iPhone with the screen on it. If you're not happy with any of it, we could just go and change part of it. So I'm just going to show you how to change it. So metals, aluminium, foam part in aluminium. You'll notice how it's changed. And on this time I'm actually going to use some chrome. I'm going to use the first one, and all I'm going to do is select this bottom edge, and I'm holding the control key down the time I do it. Select the edges, and I'll also select the bottom in there, which you'll notice is also select because it's on the same plane, the bottom of the edge there. And then we've got this edge on the side there. So again, you could select another thing. I want that one there. Ooh, always make sure that you lock it to the bottom of the room. And again, hit render. And that will then create the pink phone with that little bit of silver, just highlight it, and then we've got the screen in the middle there. And that's basically how you do it. Now, one more thing I just want to show you once this is rendering is the quickest way to take the image off of Creo would be just to press screen print and paste it into your coursework or into PowerPoint, Publisher, whatever you're doing your coursework in. If you want to create a high quality JPEG, there is the option to do that within the software. And all you do is under render setup, there's a little tab that says output. And in that you can select where it outputs, and by default it's going to output to the screen. All you do is you click on that and you say you want to output to a file, and you point Creo to the place where you want the file to be created. So as soon as it's rendered, I'll just quickly point you in that direction. We've made a horrible pink phone in my opinion, but it's at least giving you a feel and an idea for the software. So if I just show you that, you go to render, output, render to, so we can select all the different JPEG, and then you just click here where you want it to go to. Simple as that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for visiting CAD-CAM in Schools. Hope to see you again soon.